So my name is Paul Cluth, and on behalf of Jim Thomas and Envision Taneytown, everyone welcome. I'm going to turn over the program in introduction of our guest speaker to Bob Jones, Taneytown's Economic Development Director.
And I'm Bob Jones, Director of Economic Development and Main Street Manager. And I just wanted to say, Julie, we're so fortunate to have you here. This is Julie Della Maria, Sykesville Connection. She's going to talk a little bit about the success of Main Street Framework tonight. It's a human-centered approach to economic and community development. With people, revitalization builds stronger local economies and more connected communities. And I'd like to adapt her framework to Taneytown's Main Street program. Julie is the executive director of the Downtown Sykesville Connection, where she leads award-winning Main Street revitalization initiatives focused on economic growth, community engagement, and historic preservation. She holds a PhD in molecular cellular biology and a decade-long career in scientific research. Julie brings a data-driven strategic approach to community development. Her leadership has positioned Sykesville as a model for leveraging public-private partnerships, creative financing, and mission-driven planning to deliver lasting local impact. She is a frequent presenter on nonprofit leadership and a role of DEI, not just a moral imperative, but as a powerful economic driver. Julie's work emphasizes true community engagement with a focus on including all levels of segments of the Sykesville population. Sykesville is currently a semi-finalist in the 2026 Great American Main Street Award. This award recognizes excellence in fostering preservation-based revitalization efforts through the Main Street approach. Collectively, the 2026 Great American Main Street Award semifinalists have generated over $329 million in local reinvestment, helped open over 650 new businesses, facilitated the creation of more than 3,630 new jobs, and catalyzed the rehabilitation of 1,942 historic buildings, and leveraged 241,946 volunteer hours. Please join us in welcoming Julie Della Maria, Sykesville Connection.
Thank you for having me. And we know all of those data are true because Bob and I just got back from the Maryland Main Street Conference. We had a great time learning and benefiting from each other's lived experience in the world of economic development with a strong human core. So that's what I will talk about tonight. I want to start by saying that my program is not only a Main Street program, it's a non-profit organization, and we follow the standard of excellence of the Maryland nonprofits for governance and compliance. And the reason why I am telling you this is because I think for us, that was part of the success was to separate from the town to become our own nonprofit organization. It allowed us to be eligible for a completely different set of grants, programs. It also forced us to create a structure that was our own. Additionally, from my experience working within town government for programs that are driven by volunteer work, it's extremely hard to reconcile the business hour of a government setting with like the time on the ends of your volunteer task force. You know, those guys have jobs, they work during the week. You're going to have them to help you at night and on the weekend. So if you are disconnected already by not being able to connect time-wise, it's already a challenge. So again, another reason why I believe in the nonprofit model, it fosters create a very strong structure. I have a board of directors that make sure that I don't run around with butcher knives. They're not always successful, but they try. They're split in different committees that all have different roles in governance. Some are very much rooted in finances, some other will do strategic development, some other will work together to make sure that the next round of board member will be trained and synced with our mission. So I run the operation part of it. I have 3 staff members. I started by myself, but growing little by little. And one of the things I was telling Bob when I was presenting at the Maryland conference is that sometimes small Main Street programs are running after cash dollar, and sometimes it's not realistic depending who your partner are and how much money they have themselves. But what you can ask your partner, for instance, the town, when we started at first, and they could not provide us with the cash amount we wanted, we asked them to provide us with support with staff. So we started with some help with the town, with the grant writers that we shared with the town. So I'm just like planting the seed that sometimes this is how you get the help you need. It's not always a check. It's staff time, it's in-kind services, that type of things. Now, what you have at the bottom is really the framework of the Main Street program, whether it's a Maryland or National Main Street program. It is rooted in the symbiotic operation of 5 committees with very specific roles and goals and mission. So I'm going to talk a little bit how we have used that framework, applied it to Sykesville while we created our strategic plan, and how we have used that framework to support that strategic planning and the creation of work plan and the creation of goals that we could attain and that we could measure, quantify, and therefore leverage to continue growing. So one of those committees I just told you is a design committee, our design committee. And again, as Bob was saying, everything can be tailored to your own program, to your own place, to your own town, to your own volunteer task force. Our design committee it's lots of art projects. You know that very well, Stephen, because I keep asking you for money for that. So it's historic preservation, but also a lot of public art, because the historic preservation component, we tend to do it with grant money, facade improvement fund mainly. So I just put there a few examples of what we did with that, funded by you. By the Carroll County Art Council, we had 3 classes for all age group, and we tried to tie them with themes that meant something, with always that people component in mind. Adults learned about history and historical feature and painted pieces of Main Street. We had high schooler, we hired a counselor with an art degree for high schooler because it was all about justice, diversity, inclusion. And middle schooler learned something a little more engaging, doing how to draw comics and learn technique of arts to be applied to. They had to do a comic book. The comic book the topic was create a hero that is inspired by you, and that was so super cute. Anyways, I love that kind of project. We also do things that are a little more classical. We did a Door of Sykesville project that we use now to make a little bit of money too. We always try to use grant money to cover our cost or some of our cost, and then we have an inventory of products that we sell during the early days or that we use as gift for sponsors or elected officials. all of the slides that you're going to see that have the get side in the middle, that's actually the materials that are submitted for the GAMSA application. So now that we have been selected as a semi-final, I feel like it has been validated as something decent. So I included them here, and you can see, Stephen, you painted one of those tiles with us.
I did, yeah.
So I think the power of the Main Street program is to transform about everything into economic development and tourism. Arts, bringing new artists, kids activities. You can see that corner over there. We are the first one in Carroll County and in Maryland to put a speaker system on Main Street. I know now Westminster has one too. And the person that came to install it he said that I have not seen that the first time I see that in the US that you guys managed to put all of the speakers on private property. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because the partnerships that you create with the community, whether it's your business owner or your property owner, is going to just be what catalyze about everything you do, because unless you start owning some real estate, you're at the mercy of those property owners, and you need to understand their needs. You need to know how to make them trust you, so you get what you need. So, super important. That project is a global arts project that we were selected for. The pieces that are in it, there's about 2,200 pieces, come from all over the world. And it's a Canadian company that does that. You apply and you're being selected. You get to paint some of the tiles, but most of them, I know this one over there comes from Germany. And it's just so super cool because that's another good example of art turned into tourism and economic development. When we unveiled that mural, we had people that have flown from Texas to follow their tile, because you paint that tile, you take a picture of it and you submit the picture, but you keep the tile. So the people that have their tile have made their vacation plan following their tile all over the place. I think that's a pretty neat project. That was repurposing of something that was ugly. It was an oil tank. It is now Sir Hamlet honks a lot. Another thing that, it made the property owner super happy. They didn't know what to do with that tank. It created a little bit of a buzz. We had a contest to name the pig, and it just snowballed into something that, made people feel connected with downtown, happy to be there, excited to be there. Oh, that's, I don't know if that will work, but that's the video unveiling.
The sense of pride and connection is the essence of this project.
So what we did with that project, we had business owner painting tiles, we had people, resident painting tiles. So it was really a community effort, and people still come check it out all the time. And so the project of community, the power of community. You get the gist. Since I was late, I won't make you sit through the whole thing. How do I get to the next slide now? Economic development is another of those committee I was telling you about. That's a big one. That's the one that's usually, for most Main Street program, I know, powered by your businesses. All of my economic development committee volunteers are business owners. They do that because they have skin in the game. They work with you to bring people downtown, to increase foot traffic downtown. I saw Bob add one of my visitor guide. I think I have more to leave you, but we do grants, we do an array of things to make sure that those businesses stay connected with their audience, and also we provide them with promotional material that looks good, that is free to them. We produce those, like about 5,000 every other year. And what we explain to our businesses that each and every ad that we are in that, like, I don't care, I don't want to see anything that you would put in a money mailer or in a newspaper ad. I want to know the story. I want to know your connection with Sykesville, because that's what people are interested in. That's the difference between ordering on Amazon and coming downtown to meet you. It's that economic connection between people and their downtown. We try to nurture that through beautification projects. We have put about $70,000 into decoration in our downtown the past 5 years. Yes, those things are not cheap. They're not. and some other things that cost nothing, because my pride and joy here, Disco Alley, cost us $250 of disco balls that we just put up there, and we put spotlight in the the windows of the neighbor, and people have come, taken picture of that Disco Alley. So like from all over the place. And what's fun to see is that next Friday the 17th, the merchants, the downtown businesses are actually organizing a disco night where they're putting a photo booth and a DJ in the Disco Alley. And that's a cute little thing that has already received lots of attention on social media. So we know that's going to be a nice night in Sykesville to benefit those businesses. We do also things that are a little different. We have trademarked our logo, because that's part of developing a brand. That's an important process while you develop your program, is who are you, and what graphic or tagline is going to be the one that people are going to recognize you at one glance. They are going to know that it's the Main Street program, or it's that specific group. So we have trademarked our logo. We won the coolest small town in America in 2016, best Main Street in America in 2020. Those were people votes. So it's great because you get the visibility of those things. We got 160,000 votes for the best Main Street in America. But we know that it was people that were local, because you could vote once a day. And it was paramount for us to do that, because it was during the pandemic in 2020, and it was a way for us to continue nurturing that connection at a time of isolation. So we do a lot of merchandise, and we work with the downtown businesses for them to sell that merchandise. They consign for us, we take a cut of that, since we have a trademark logo, that's our brand, and vice versa. We sell their merchandise, we sell their t-shirt at the farmer's market, or things like that. All of those businesses, is remarkable is that they're now almost all of them supporting our events and being sponsor and giving us some support by sponsorship or membership, but they financially contribute to our mission, because they have realized that by investing in us, we are able to provide 9 events a year, and some of those events, like the Craft Beer Festival coming up, it's 5,000 people on Main Street. And unlimited sampling loosens the wallet for sure, so that we know that our businesses are going to do good on those days. Grants, we talked about it, that's facade improvement, that has been a huge part of our economic development. Is to continue maintaining the charm of Main Street, continue nurturing this partnership and this relationship with the property owner. They would not be able to afford keeping the facade looking this way with in compliance with Historic District Commission ruling if we were not there to help with that. And we do more than just give them the cash. We are now done 5 rounds of those grants since 2015. So when a business comes to me or a property owner comes to me, I sit with them and like, what's your vision? What do you want to do? I'll find you the contractor. I'll file your application with HDC for you. I'll come with you if you need to. But it's a whole process that is facilitated by the Main Street program, and that really does change the perception of people and add to the value of our program in the eyes of those property and business owners. My pride and joy at the top is the building we purchased. It's a very interesting model. If we have a few minutes, I will speak on that, because Bob said that you might be interested in knowing what we did. More of this decoration, and other cute little thing we did, we made a plush animal of the Saxville Snallygaster to try to develop a product for a different audience, and so we have several of those plushes, and we do little movies where we follow them on Main Street. You find the Snallygaster. During construction work, we stuck the Snallygaster in a toy car that we attached on my minivan, and I was driving downtown when a videographer was taking videos, and it was titled, if the Snallygaster can do it, so can you. Come visit downtown during construction. And it was amazing to see the return on investment on a 2 minutes video like that had like, I can't remember how many thousand of likes and people engaging with it. So creativity is always a good thing. Oh, this is the building. You guys get to... I will let this one play because...
Hi, I'm Julie De La Maria. I'm the Executive Director of the Downtown Saxville Connection. The Downtown Saxville Connection is the entity administering the Main Street program for the town of Saxville. We are also a non-profit organization focused on economic development and community development in downtown Saxville. Our Main Street program is about 11 years old, and you can see behind me our latest addition. We are now property owner of this building, 7611 Main Street, and it's a huge achievement for us because the purchase of this building is renovation, and adding commercial tenants in it is what's going to launch our nonprofit and Main Street program towards sustainability.
So now with the income we get from residential and commercial income for tenants, plus one of the 9 events we have downtown that pays for our overhead, we are going to be able to focus now strictly on programming, on the mission. So that was something that we did that we're pretty proud of. Another thing that we did, and I want to show you that because I think that's one of those projects that are so cheap, but that means so much for the business community. We created a guide for business owner that has everything in it. A new business that comes downtown or an existing business that does not have all the knowledge is going to find in there where to put their trash, a map of the parking, my phone number, the phone number of the merchant chair, all of the contact that they need at the town, whether it's planning commission, historic district, or any of those. It's a good roadmap, if you will, and that was just a little bit of elbow grease to put together, but that had a huge impact for the business community. And that's one of the projects that they told me. We do survey asking people what they like the most about what we do, and that was a winner for last year. People were like, that was extremely helpful for them. Promotion committee. So again, everything we do circles back to economic development, and everything we do is about people. So we use different avenues to market our main streets. We have celebrity visit with Brandon here, who got a gold medal in the Special Olympic and was also in our parade. He got his gold medal in snowshoeing. We bring people downtown to cover small events like Taylor Swift's birthday and things like that. We also do billboards, and we spend lots of time analyzing what we do. When we do an event, we're going to go back to the geo-analytic or the geo-fencing of our ticket sales, and we're going to see on that map those darker spots where no one in that area came to Saxville. So that's exactly where we're going to spend thousands of dollars in promotion because we need to secure the audience in that area. So I think it's important to take the time of doing that rather than duplicating things that may not have the same impact. We had a parklet that was the first one in Carroll County and in that area of Maryland. Our events bring thousands of people. I think something that sets us apart is that in each event we design, we make sure there's a cultural component. We make sure that that all audience all subsets of the Saxville population are represented in some fashion. Because, you know, one way of looking at it, if you know your census data, and you know, I know Saxville census data is 75% of white people. So you walk on Main Street and like, where are the 20% or the 25%? I don't see Asian people, I don't see Indian people, I don't see black people. That's where we're failing. That's what we need to address. Not only again because it's a moral obligation, but otherwise it's a loss on revenue. Those people live there. Why are they not connected to their downtown? So sometimes you just need to be a little silly. So that's as board president, mayor, and myself flamingoing, because staying connected with people on Main Street is important. So we have a bunch of those events that are free to the community. We have 3 fundraisers a year as part of those 9 events. The rest of the events are free because another manner to be inclusive is also reducing socioeconomic barriers. So we want people to be able to come to Main Street even if they don't have a high income. So again, silly things. We also recognize that sometimes when you're pushed out of your comfort level, that everyone is on plain level field. So one of our events, we had the most diversity, not even thinking that doing silly things was going to cause that, was our Bubble and Tool event, where we were drinking champagne in the street and invite people to join us in their wedding dress or in evening gowns. And it was a very successful event. The JEDI committee is my favorite. The JEDI committee is what the National Main Street Program and Maryland Main Street Program recognize as organization. That organization committee, the traditional organization committee, is meant to connect all partners, your sponsor, your volunteer task force, your elected official. It's supposed to be the glue of everything. And because we decided a few years back that we wanted that cultural diversity, we wanted that richness, we wanted everyone to feel welcome, we decided to have that change from within, that cultural change from within. So we changed our organization committee to JEDI, Justice, Equity, Diversity, Inclusion. And we started doing more and more of those small initiatives that would make everyone feel welcome, whether it's a cancer patient, or a black resident, or some of our Indian community. We wanted everyone to feel welcome on Main Street. And it's an ongoing journey. It takes time. It takes the right cultural ambassador. We failed at first. We still fail. We still do a lot of foot in the mouth moments, but it's important to keep working on it, especially in the current social context and political context. So that's a few of our last year's event. We keep painting our windows. The businesses are very happy to be our sounding board and to show their support and commitment. And we know that some people are sometimes hesitant to show that they are welcoming of all with that type of painting. And we let people choose if they want to do it or not. But we have organically seen a huge increase of people doing so because they have realized that it's helping their business. We know that people that have been systematically discriminated against have a very different way of shopping. There's the people that are going to be the most engaged and the most loyal to your brand or to your shop if you show a little bit of love, respect, and dignity for all. So it's a very interesting phenomenon, but it's something that you can check on Google. I swear it's something that works this way. So that was Pride, with the mayor leading the charge. We have matching outfits, and that's what we did in February. We have started a project to give a voice to our black residents. We know that the history of Saxville black resident and resident around Carroll County has been whitewashed. It's a fact. And we have many families in downtown Saxville that are the descendant of the 131st family who came to Saxville to build the railroad track, and that basically built the economy of Saxville and the industry in Saxville. and descendants of those family are less and less, but were disengaged. We would not see them on Main Street. They didn't feel welcome, listened, valued, or respected. And we started having events like Juneteenth, so painting the windows, but again, that was a little naive, that was not meaningful or deep enough. And then we're like, okay, we just need to be obvious in our stance, firm in our values. So we put that banner over Main Street. And it was very interesting to see what it created on social media. Oh, but you know that it's
Can you tell us what it says? 'Cause we
it
can't
says
see the banner. Yeah, you can see
the banner says "Stories that Build Sykesville: A Tribute to Black Heritage," and it had our website, and it allowed people to connect with us and to connect with that research project we have, to follow the 13 families through their history in Sykesville. Many of them are still there, and now we have grown. The Jedi Committee doubled after the Jedi Committee after we put that banner up. And you know, like the negative narrative that we experience on Facebook, we have made it a sport to flip it around.
Yeah.
I have no problem sitting with my laptop and turning something that could have been negative in thousands of dollars in donation, and that's what we saw. We thank people for bringing up the negativity because it allows us to open the discussion.
It brings
and
it out. Brings it out in the
Yeah,
open.
exactly.
Deal with it, right?
Yeah, and there's an educational component to it. When people then understand why you're doing it, what's at the root of it, no one will turn their back, or if they would have to do it quietly and discreetly because otherwise they would label themselves for what they are, and no one wants that. So, you know, more of those DEI event I'm telling you about, we blend religions too. We had Diwali at St. Paul Church on Main Street. It was absolutely beautiful, and it was so interesting to see that blend, that collective and joint effort between different community members. Another Pride event, learning to do things meaningfully. I would never have known to bring those dancers at a Juneteenth event, but by opening the door, creating the space, and then moving out of the way and be like, this is yours. Tell me what you want to do. We had those dances that were absolutely fantastic and that had a huge meaning. And for the audience that was there, had such a sense of connection and appreciation, and be like, okay, I'm here to celebrate something, not that I was just slapped there to be there, that's something that was built with care. If you want to see some of the videos that we got 3 TV crews that came to document that banner, that Black History banner on Main Street. And I took some of the interview with some of our new volunteers. One of them, a descendant of the Dorsey family, very well known in Carroll County. Yeah. And she was saying that's the first time that I truly feel welcome on Main Street. Mm. And actually the kids on the banner are the kids of the Dorsey family. Mm. So other things that we did this year, we were told, when was it, January 20th, that diversity was cancelled, so we had a giant drag show in the middle of downtown. And tons of people coming for it because it is important as a Main Street program to remain the safe space for everyone, So we continue doing things like that and just trying to make people embrace who they are, celebrate who they are with no judgment. That's an inclusive fashion show that we invited everyone to come, show their beauty. Some people wore their own clothes, some others were clothed by downtown businesses. And we did that, it was all age group, all gender, all abilities. And it was a fantastic moment. I think we're going to redo it again. And one of my favorite drag queen in front of the church, where we end and start our Pride Parade. Because again, it's all about people and partnership. Green Committee, we have several gardens that are doing either educational programs or a little bit of production. We have, depending where they are, we have a garden that's in an area, low-income area where we focus on providing fresh food, and we have the one that you visit us at when we do the educational things, the composting initiative and things like that. And we have others where we just do we just improve and beautify and add art to it. So we do, that's a composting program I just mentioned. We try to offer that to our residents and businesses, and we always try to do it a little more creatively. So it was run by Girl Scouts. They did a fantastic job, and we gave away small tabletop composter and large composter, but what we added to that, it was connecting people. We trained composting champion. Each and every neighborhood had a composting champion, and the other people that did not want a backyard composter could come to that person to empty their small composting things. And again, you know, a fun project that snowballs into relationship, that snowballs into building community. Same thing with our cigarette littering program, cigarette prevention littering program. We got a grant award to put the cigarette collector all over Main Street, and they didn't look good, and we're like, okay, can we do something fun with that? So we worked with the school, and we told middle schooler, there's no one more creative than a middle schooler. We told this middle schooler that we wanted something fun to put on this receptacle, and at first we thought we were going to select one or two and put all the receptacle, slap them with the same thing. We could not pick. We had so many different cute designs that they're all over the place. But this one is my favorite. I'm going to read it to you because it's super cute. You big disgrace, don't litter all over the place. Keep Sagsville beautiful. So, sometimes people ask me, how do you know it's a municipal project or it's a Main Street project? If it gives you a giggle and a head tilt, it's a Main Street project.
A city project would not be fun.
It's not the same goal, you know, and when you deal with taxpayer money, you have to be conservative in your choices. It's also why I wanted to separate from the town. I was tired of people when I wanted to fundraise or find sponsor, be like, I already paid for that. Like, no, you did not. We do not get taxpayer money. Or also people were like, why are you buying beer for our beer festival with taxpayer money? Like, no, it would not be the right thing to do that. We're not buying beer with taxpayer money. We're doing other things with taxpayer money. So every year also, I think that something super important when you build a program is your messaging, is what you tell people, how you make them connect with you. We are big on collecting data, trying to arrange them in an engaging manner, and send that impact sheet to everyone we know we're going to ask money to, or we want to work with, or we want to partner with, because the people want to see what you do, and leveraging even the smallest success usually turns snowballs into bigger things. So those are the kind. We got a big restore grant that was used to renovate that building I showed you. But usually that's our baseline in grants. The MIP funding from DHCD, which is something that accredited Main Street program get. It's why it's important to work toward having a good Main Street program that will meet the accreditation criteria, because you're immediately eligible for $25,000. You can do a technical assistant grant as a kind of grant that would pay for a staff member. That's how we paid our first farmers market manager, was a technical assistant grant. We're using technical assistant grant funding to pay a non-profit governance officer. That person is reviewing all of our organizational documents and be like, you're missing a whistleblower policy, you need to improve, your bylaws need to be reviewed, and and improved. So it's a very interesting. It's having an accreditation really gives you the opportunity of tapping into a lot of pot of money. So speaking of that Black History Month banner and the Facebook narrative, it's what it is here, and it's what it did that month. And when you're able to capture that audience and to flip the narrative or to explain why you're doing things, I am telling you, it trickled for us in one weekend and in 5 new volunteers. Over the months more than that, but I remember that weekend vividly because my board members are texting me being like, what is happening? How you're going to handle that? And I'm like, let's calm down. And we got that like 12 donation in an hour. People were reading those posts and were, instead of engaging in the negative, they were like, can you please post your donate link? Or how can I volunteer? Or how can I be part of that? It's also being firm in value. It's also positioning in a place of leadership, in a position where people know they can count on you when they need you. So that's super important. So that's it for that. If you are interested, I can speak a little on the building aspect of it. But if you are fed up with it, with me, I completely understand. It's a lot of Franglish for one evening, so you decide.
I think I'll address the elephant in the room. We are way, way back here.
Yes.
You're way up there.
Yes.
How do we get the buy-in, not necessarily from the city government, because we think that train has left the station, but how do you get the buy-in from the community to get started? We're just getting started. We've wasted so much time. We need to move forward. How do we get to the point where people trust this process again? Because I was on the Main Street Committee that failed. And we need to be able to trust the process, and we need to be able to trust each other.
Yes.
And how did you have to deal with that, and how?
Yes, I had to deal with that for several reasons. I took over after someone who left abruptly and not leaving a lot of money behind. So there was a sense of fear at the time that we had to address. And also, you can hear by my Boston accent, I'm not from here. And that for some people was a sort of concern, would be wondering if I would understand or be able to connect with the community or read them properly. So we had to start from a place that was not as comfortable as where we are now. And we did it with being humble. We started with very small projects, small cleanups, gathering a group of volunteers to paint a railing that's visible downtown. Walking with kids is always something that kids don't drive themselves, their parents will have to bring them. So we started with very small projects like that. Arts is something that connects everyone. Cultural event is something that is noticeable, and I know it's not easy in Carroll County, and it's in some part of Carroll County harder than other part. I saw that you had a very successful Pride event, so there are people that understand the importance and the benefit of doing that, connect with them. Also, that messaging and that branding needs consistency and a spokesperson. Not a million of them. I know that some people were asking me, where are you presenting tonight? And I was explaining it's the group that is posting the event is Envision Taneytown, and the person like, oh, so but is that their Main Street program? Like, I don't think that's their Main Street program, but I see that they have gotten funding from the Art Council, so I assume there's some kind of a non-profit status, probably through the Community Foundation of Carroll County or something.
Not yet. They were working on theirs.
Okay, so you're getting your own.
So we're even before that. we're still trying to figure out, I work for the Community Foundation.
Okay,
so
you do,
that
okay.
is my kind of go-to recommendation if somebody wants to start a
Oh, yeah,
nonprofit.
you have to.
And be in a place where you can start to apply for grants
Yeah.
and work through some of those things.
That's the smartest
So-
way to do. Don't reinvent the wheel when
Right.
you're that early in the process. If you're a component fund of the Community Foundation of Carroll County, that's what we were
Right,
at some
yes.
point. You get the status, someone's running your books for you, you don't need a bookkeeper.
Right.
So it's really a good way to start.
I think it takes a bit to understand how we get to where we are today by knowing that in the past, the Main Street program has kind of been seen as an outreach function of the city. And we need to get away from that.
You do.
We need to start, you know, and essentially we're starting over. You know, 23
Yes,
years
that's
of
exciting.
whatever we did before matters not any longer. Where are we today? Now we're an aspiring program, and how do we move that forward? And it has to be. I think that your model of an independent nonprofit with support from the city is the way to go. But I'm not sure that everyone at the municipal level is on board with that vision.
They won't have a choice. If they want to keep a Main Street, they have to show support. That is part of the accreditation process. That is part of the, you know. I know it's hard, believe me, and
I completely understand it. I am not sure how that's going to work in our current environment.
it's time to like
So
learn stuff.
So to level that playing field, let me ask you a question, okay? I'm very familiar with Sykesville. I know a lot of the merchants that are involved in your Sykesville, some that we actually share here in Taneytown. You guys are a very mature organization, okay? A lot of us have done projects around the state that used to model Frederick, and we still do for the most part, okay? But you guys have emerged on the scene in the last decade because it's your smaller version of that, which is what we have here. Let's start with the question, what is your organization's current working relationship with the, we'll just say the city of Sykesville, the officials of Sykesville? How is that relationship working?
It is fabulous. It started.
And please elaborate, what makes it wonderful like that?
What makes it wonderful, it was gaining the trust of now the entire mayor and town council.
The mayor and
the
the
council.
council.
Like,
Right.
there has not been a vote that has pertained to my organization in the past 4 years. I was not anonymous. So it was not always the case. When I started the job, the town did not want to fund us. We had issue creating our MOU. It took a year to draft it, and it was challenging but good for us because it really pushed us to take a deep look at what do we need to make this work? What is a baseline? Like what having an executive director or person running the show, I think is really important.
Right.
If you cannot have someone full-time at first, you start with someone who is part-time, but having that person running the show is really paramount. So finding a way of funding that salary, in my opinion, is really the baseline, because then you have that person running the show, you have you're starting a framework, you're eligible for accreditation because that's part of the process. You need to show that you have a staff, and the staff, part-time or full-time, depend of your overall population. And I don't remember what's the cutoff for the transition between part-time and full-time.
We're supposed to have full-time.
Okay, so you're supposed to have full-time. So if you do it this way and then you get your accreditation, the first $25,000 that you will get by default to the MIP program, Main Street Improvement Program by DHCT, will fund your project.
So what was the turning point that took you from, we're at odds, not everybody's on the same page? What was the thing? What was the change agent
Am I still
that got
being filmed?
everybody on board? Was it you? Just you? Huh?
No, no. I was asking if I was still being filmed. And if the answer is yes, my answer is going to be a little different. The town manager at the time was really running the show in Sykesville. The mayor had a full-time job. He was, probably not very present. So that town manager had a lot of lead room, and that town manager did not see the value of the Main Street program.
So it was a change in leadership at the city that was the catalyst?
Yes.
Okay, you don't have to go any further. All right, we've answered
But
that.
that, to make that change, when you're telling me that a lot of hard thing needs to happen, and I'm going to tell you, I understand that we had to get to see a change of town manager. My husband ran for mayor.
Well, God bless him.
Yes, and we lost that battle, but we won the war because it identifies the fact that there was a need of a change, and he did so well, being so new in Sykesville with the number of votes, that there was a realization.
He brought
that,
the issue out.
Yes, there was a realization that there was an issue that was deep, that was visible, and that needed to be addressed.
Okay, so let me ask you this other question here. Okay, and I'm not trying to lay bait. I'm just,
No.
I've done Main Street projects. I know business and economics, and I know what it takes I know what the selling points are on this, so I want to ask you this, okay? So we're assuming that before you had cooperation and Sykesville was on the move, all right? There was very little, the city saw very little value in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you have these numbers now, but if you're analyzing the demographics of your community, then maybe you do. Can you give us a ballpark figure of what the economic impact, positive impact for the town of Sykesville has been since you guys have been able to rock and roll?
There are several markers for that, and
Just-
yeah.
I'm looking, what I want the wow factor. Just give me a round dollar figure. Because right now, we're dealing with a zero base here, okay?
So, hard number, it really depend what marker you're looking at. And I'm going to tell you, facade improvement, we leveraged $2 million over the past 5 years.
All right, so $2 million.
Yes.
All right.
With the building we
You're doing
purchased.
events that draw 5,000 people. Right. We only have 8,000 people in this town. Okay,
We
so
only
that's
have
a lot.
4,000, so
Yeah,
because
that's
we multiply, during those events we see lots of traffic, but there are different metrics that you can look at, and depending who you're talking to, you're not going to use the same metric anyways.
What I'm getting at is that, so what you're answering with this, explanation is that the tide is rising and all the boats are rising with it.
Yeah.
And that's the message.
Yes.
That's really the point. That's really kind of what we're getting at.
Yeah, and so I heard that, so you mentioned aspiring community, and I'm very familiar with the aspiring community program because I'm going to be heavily involved with it, and I already said that I would love to work with one of the aspiring committees that's local, so I most likely will be paired up with you guys to do all of the things that needs to be done. Where I was going with that, I don't remember. How did it started already? Sorry, there's been
So
a
it's
lot.
like a mentorship.
Yes,
for
it is a
an-
mentorship,
for
so yeah.
a
Yes.
drawing program. And
But
that's
as
something
part of that program, my suggestion to DHCD and what we have been working on is that it cannot be just one person. In small community like ours, it cannot just be the Main Street managers that's going to be doing all of the public facing things, because we're human, everyone has their own baggage, people tend to make things personal. You need to have a small team that's going to have one government representative. You need to have at least one of those guys. You must know one of those guys. That could be your government person. You need to have one that will represent your board, your governance. Any board member will do. Anyone that has the time and the desire of doing it. And then the person you believe in to run your organization. That group of 3 persons is going to be your core until you grow it, because they're representing different aspects of the organization. They're representing operation, governance, partnership, public-private partnership.
So what is your relationship with Joe then? And I mean, he's the economic development director, right?
The town manager, Joe, yeah.
Oh, Joe's town manager?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I wasn't sure what his function was. So what is your relationship? Do they pay any of your salary? Do they, is there an economic development person on the city government there that is kind of attached to what you do? What's that structure look like?
So that's a very interesting question and a good one. Joe is a town manager. He rolls his eyes each time he sees my phone number popping on his phone. But we have a great relationship. He trusts me to do what I know how to do, and I trust him to support the organization and keep doing. He's a fantastic town manager, and we're very grateful to have him after 5 different ones, and he's finally the one to stay, I hope. So Joe has been with us since 2019. Before that, we were, let's not even talk about the other one, but we created the MOU before he was there. That MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, is a document that describes the relationship between the Downtown Sykesville Connection and the town of Sykesville. And in that Memorandum of Understanding, we looked at how much was the Downtown Sykesville Connection budget at the time, and we decided to ask the town for 1/3 of what we were bringing in at the time. We had a smaller budget at the time, so we asked for $50,000. That model was actually recommended by the DHCD, Department of Housing and Community Development. DHCD is an underused asset for you guys. They have great staff.
We've abused it here, that's the problem.
You have, okay. So
Not
in a good way.
Not in an taking advantage way, we just,
By
our
previous-
organization was so, we'll just say defunct. All right, it never got utilized the way it should have. All right, so, and just to be honest with you, okay?
you cannot be carrying on your shoulder mistake of the past. Like at some point, if you start from the beginning, you start from the beginning.
Well, that's where we are.
That's where we're at right now. Unfortunately, it's not really a bona fide, I mean, there's a rebuilding of our Main Street organization, okay, that's being done by the city, okay? But a lot of what's happening now is just a totally different group of people, all right? And I guess really why we're asking so many questions is, we've been a part of what was supposed to be and failed, and, this town right now is in a real pickle, because the whole designation of like a bona fide Main Street is like probationary right now, okay? And so things still need to happen while they are trying to rebuild that bona fide, we'll call it Main Street in quotations effort, okay? And we don't want to derail that, okay? But things still need to happen in the process, all right? What I'm liking about what I'm hearing from you is that you guys are completely autonomous, all right?
We are.
Okay, with a great relationship now with the city that you serve. And we don't have that same dynamic right now. So let me ask you this question, okay? Had you not had the change of leadership that got you guys on the quick path to success, how would you have moved forward, still having maybe not the total backing of your city officials?
We were surviving in that previous setting until 2021, when there was a change of leadership, elected official, not only town manager. we were working on improving that relationship. We're not completely successful with it, but like the Main Street program has a value. There's no way that with working with someone intelligent that they don't eventually see it. So, and again, you can start with small projects, and sometimes you need to change the players because some of them will have too much baggage.
What did the new players do for you?
What?
What did the new players do for you? You've said a couple of times there was a change in leadership, right?
Yes.
So when that change in leadership happened, you guys were able to basically explode, right?
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
So like when those new people came in, what did they do for you to help you grow and survive? Like some 1 to 3 specific examples.
The trust that was given to our program immediately completely changed the way we would do just permitting for events. Instead of having to be begging for a space, the town would be like, how many times do you want the road closed this year? and when you go from one extreme to the other, it means for your staff, you're not scrambling and trying to justify of this and that. You're doing the work instead of trying to, wasting your time justifying why you're doing the work. And I think for us, that's something that you can translate in about every project we did. Like instead of having to beg to do a mural, we were told, okay, sure, we will help you get where you want to.
So they cut red tape basically. They
Yeah,
made your lives
red
miserable so you
tape,
couldn't do
like,
anything,
yeah.
and then they're like, just do the thing.
Yes, there was lots of that. Yes.
But you had set yourself up separate prior to that. Is
Yes,
that
but we
correct?
still need to, we still need police
Sure,
support when we
sure.
have an event. We still need public work support when we create trash over our events.
Sure.
So we still, that partnership it's paramount. You cannot, the two entities cannot live without each
Sure.
other.
Sure.
Because a town government is not able to provide what a Main Street program provides. A town government is not meant to be that people organization. It's not supposed to measure impact in smiles. Town government is supposed to pick up your trash, make sure there's no snow on the road. Those very,
Bureaucratic
yes.
things.
And a Main Street program is what's going to sprinkle the glitter on top. It's your community development. It's your people places. It's your farmers market. It's all of the things that improve the quality of life.
I just have a logistics question, thinking of the tension for something in Taneytown. For you guys, your Main Street is not a major route. When I just correct me if I'm wrong, that if you wanted to shut down for a Main Street festival, that's 140, right?
Yeah, we
Like
can't do it.
Right, it's a state highway. So
Our Main Street is a state highway. I close it 9 times a year.
Yeah, but you have a bypass. You have
we have about that,
to-
right, that's the question,
And we do
just
not.
confirming
So
that
it's-
Taneytown does not have a bypass.
You-
We have no other road that gets traffic from one end of town to the other besides 140.
Yeah, it's,
So-
When you hit a certain spot in town, you cannot there's not enough space to put a
Right.
tractor trailer.
Have you sat down with your state highway administrator contact and looked at other ways of
There are
doing
no
it?
other ways.
There are
That's the issue.
so that's a challenge that we have.
There's always a way.
We do get to close it and divert traffic for, like a 2-hour parade once a year. It is a little difficult
At the other end
because
of town.
Yeah,
Not
you
in
can't do that in the
it
downtown,
doesn't,
you can't do that
it
in the
doesn't
Main Street.
block off a roundabout route, okay? It's a little touchy, all right, this road thing, and it's not just touchy for doing Main Street projects, okay? It's a little touchy, all right, this road. A 5-year-old wakes up half the night sometimes, it's very aggravating, all right? But, we also live in a place that we don't consider this a neighborhood, even though my 5-year-old is asleep right now across the street. We have a lot of things, but what we're trying to get to, and what you've been so helpful on, is showing us that the way the attempts that have been made in the past, though they have been attempts, they haven't been done in the right way, okay? And we haven't always seen that, I'm just gonna say it, okay? This is a town that is controlled just about everything, okay? City Hall is controlled just about everything. Now it's loosening up, okay? But not without a lot of fight and a lot of pain and a lot of aggravation and a lot of stuff, all right? I think most of the folks that are moving into this area were twice as big as we were 10 years ago, all right? And I've only been here 5, all right? People want the things, all right? But government has, been hard to let that happen, all right? They're being pushed now in the corner from attrition. We've got a lot of things moving now, all right? And now you got other organizations working against the city to make these things happen because we know, because we've done it before in other towns, that they can be done, okay? What I'm really trying to get to is what this town needs, what the people that lead this town need. They need a value proposition. They need to see that they're missing the boat and their citizens are missing the boat because we're not doing it right. Okay? All this real estate out here is more valuable than anything in the shopping center, but they don't see it. And I don't know how I sell it to them because they're not listening.
There are a few ways of doing that. How many of you guys here are business owners? Okay, so that's a good one. Do you have a business association?
Yeah,
A business group? How often do you meet? What do you do? Is that
once a month.
Once a month. What do you do? Like,
Well,
We tried to figure out
apparently,
how to
we
get
take
past
over Main
it.
Street.
so that my other question, what
There's
is,
also a chamber,
okay,
but
yes.
the chamber is in
that's
a weakened
different,
position
yeah.
right now.
And what are the things you can leverage with your town government? For instance, for us, what we did when we did our MOU, and it was not in a welcoming climate at the time. When we did the MOU, and we found ways to value ourselves in the eyes of the people that at the time did not. So what we said is, we put in our MOU, the Main Street program is going to run facade improvement for you. We will write the grant, do the application, collect them, help people. We'll do it from A to Z. So the town at the time did not have to pay anyone to do it. And we added a few other things like that in our MOU that created, before we were valued for who we were, that were basically a negotiation, that were an avenue to play off each other. So there must be, it's why I'm asking you, what can you leverage? What do you have that the town would be like, okay, you guys do this, and we'll give you $20,000 a year. You guys do that. Your merchant group, ours is one of our greatest assets, and the DSC works very closely with them. We at first had a merchant group that was very active by doing smaller program, and then they worked with us on our larger event, and now they have started a completely entire shopping program that is independent of our events, but that still the DSC is creating web page for marketing. Our Facebook page alone has 20,000 followers. So we do a boost on that. We can reach 60,000 people in a few days. So anyways, we let those people, same thing, what do you want to do? And it's the darndest thing, the disco alley.
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
It's
so it's a
fantastic.
bunch of things that we have
It's so benign, but so much fun, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's low impact. They're having so many of those small programs that will tap off the skill set of a specific business owner or a specific business. Like we had recently a superhero day for families that was organized by the bookstore. On the 24th, we have masquerade for adults, so Halloween for adults. So they have started working very well with one another and doing so small things. And for the town, the fact that the DSC is helping, present in some ways, we also host under our bank account a bucket of money for the merchant that is reinvested into those programs. So it doesn't show on the income of any of the businesses, like they collect their own dues, we just manage it, and we cut the check and the payment and all of that. But then, it's funding now, I would say, at least half of a dozen small events during the year, and they're extremely successful. And they allow us another avenue for promotion, because we keep saying, this is not the DSC, this is a merchant event, but we work together, we help the merchant.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a mindset, because you talk about leverage, it's hard to really say what leverage anybody has, because outside of the new programming that Bob has been really hard at, which is what should have been happening all along, all right? Fact of the matter is that most of the people that own businesses in this town have invested more than the city has in this particular area. Now, that's not to say that, some of the people that work in the city live in the neighborhood too, and they own homes, and they're invested too. I'm not saying that the businesses are more invested than anybody else, but what I'm saying is that the city has taken this collective stance that if there's something going to happen, it's going to be all on the businesses, and that would be fine, okay, because the businesses are willing to do that. If the city, if that's their stand, then just get out of the way and stop making it so hard to do it all.
Right, for example, the city has control of the Main Street website. The city has control of the Main Street Facebook page. And that needs to stop. If we're gonna have a separate organization, we need to get control of that back. We can't post any, Bob can post things to it, because he's the economic development director.
And he's doing a great job, by the way, so to speak.
He's doing a great job with it.
Just let him, he's doing a great job.
But we have as an organization, we have no access to it. We're told that if we want to make any changes to the Main Street website, we have to submit them to the IT department at the city. Yeah, exactly.
It's a little counterproductive for everyone.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna change the subject a little bit, because the message has been made very poignantly as to what our dilemmas are. And so this is a great opportunity, and your being here is just wonderful. However, I did want to ask, we have 3 major wedding venues in our town that are marvelous. Could you explain the wedding dress event that you showed up on the screen? What was that?
So we called it Bubble and Tour. We got a bunch of different champagne and Prosecco champagne cavas from all over the world, and we had different booths with different offerings. Some were mixed with juice, some were not, and we invited people to get their wedding dress out of the closet, wear it, and come on Main Street with it.
You had grooms too?
Yes. And I am telling you, we saw a group of people coming to Main Street that was very different than the group of people we see in our other event, and it was really a blast. And people are still talking about it. So we're going
and this is something where our wedding venue operators could help to.
So even just the fact if you have 3 wedding venues, a huge fundraiser for you would be a wedding expo. Like you could work with different businesses in that line of work, whether it's wedding dresses or makeup artists or flowers and all of that.
They do them independently.
Okay.
So each one is doing their own.
So you connect it as a Main Street program, showing your value as a Main Street program, doing the registration for us so they're tax-free.
Right.
Showing the town that you need access to your own website, because how you're going to sell anything if you don't have a buy button or a donate button, and just show your value. Create situation where you are not dispensable.
Yeah, our weddings are a major marketing or destination niche for this town that not many other municipalities
Oh yeah,
have.
for sure. And I'm telling you, the small programs like having a pub crawl or a progressive dinner that's using the farmers market vendors to provide the food, like small things like that will get you to strengthen this relationship with different groups, different people, and then show value, show activities, show that there's something going on.
I also wanted to make a comment that you mentioned in 2021 was kind of when you started off, and it's pretty remarkable what you've done, because that was right in the pandemic period that you were coming out of, and businesses were suffering, all over the place.
We did in 3 business during the pandemic.
And then when you mentioned the $2 million in additional revenue that you brought to the table, just think about that exponential difference or growth versus the cost and the investment that was made to reach that $2 million benefit. I don't know how many times you multiplied that by, but I imagine that was pretty large.
And to give you another example of something that has been very impactful for the town and continue growing our credibility with them, in 2023, a piece of real estate became available on Main Street. Growing relationship with property owners allowed me to get that phone call from a friend saying that's going to hit the market, because the housing market, real estate market in Saxville is hot and private. Everything happened behind closed doors.
Right.
So, working with people for facade improvement, we had created that relationship, and I get that call, and we were ready. I immediately called the property owner, and I told him, and said, if you sell to a nonprofit, the difference between the sale price and the assessment of the property can be considered a charitable donation. In addition, I'm not going to only leverage our nonprofit status, I'm going to leverage with you our mission. The person that's in the business right now, the business owner, will keep her. All of the other people that had made offers were going to get her out that same day. We said we're going to keep her for 6 months, we're going to give her the first right of refusal on the renovated space, and we're going to help with the transition any way we can. So we leveraged the mission, and that gave us an edge over traditional developers to convince the property owner to sell to us. Then we just had to find.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Kept it for the community instead of letting it get exploited.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because then I had to find $500,000 in 30 days. So for that part, I went to see the town manager, and I told him, listen, how would you feel about giving us our $50,000 a year as a cash advance for the next 10 years, grandfathered in your rate of 2018?
You guys have already set yourself up, so yeah, you can, okay, I'm following you, sorry.
Okay, so the town manager at the time explained to me all of the other benefits for the town to actually say yes to that crazy offer. All of the other reasons where he was able to use capital funds that are sometimes harder to mobilize to get that cash advance to us. Yes. And that was freeing $50,000 a year for him for other priorities.
Right.
Knowing that we were again going to leverage our mission and being a nonprofit, being a Main Street program, he knew that we were going to be eligible for grant funds that only Main Street program can get. The Restore grant that I showed you, that was almost $300,000. We applied for it, we got it, we fixed the building. So in 18 months, we fixed the building, we purchased it for $500,000, it was reassessed at $1.2 million. The town, in the duration of the loan, was not a gift, it was a loan. It was hard to explain to some people that it was an investment, but for the 10 years of that loan, it has already made an extra $75,000 in property taxes at the location.
Right, because it's productive.
Yes, but because the reassessment is more than half of what it was when we purchased it, all of the surrounding property values have increased. So right there also again. And then you're looking at the housing market in that area.
That's the home run, guys.
Yes,
That's the point, that's the whole point. That's the whole point.
It is.
That's the rising tide.
Mm-hmm.
That's the rising tide.
And then over the next course of the next 10 years, and just real property taxes for homeowners.
Right.
Their property taxes are going to increase, and that's another $2 million over the course of 10 years that is going to either come directly back to the town, or we put businesses in there. Their income is going to generate taxes. Their equipment is generating property taxes. They have created 3 local jobs, and we have done more than that, and that's the magic of the Main Street program. By being a nonprofit that selected the business that are in there, we created an ecosystem. We brought a deli and gourmet markets, a little art spot, because we knew the community was dying to have an art. The business that was there before was an art space, and we wanted to keep that for the community, stay in sync with the community needs. And immediately that increased the rent, that increased the value of the residential unit we have on the top. So,
And let's be clear, nobody likes to hear the word, the taxes are going up. But if you own the property and your property taxes are going up, that means the value of your property and the neighboring properties are going up too. So it's good for everybody.
yeah.
You know, this town, we do have a lot of properties that are, we'll just say, we have a lot of land, we have a few landlords that own a lot of properties, okay? And, you know, the fact of the matter is that some of them understand that, you know, moving forward the way we want, you know, they understand they'll be able to get more for those properties. They also understand that they have to invest a little bit more in those properties, and, you know, some of the more progressive ones actually are really kind of, you know, liking the idea of learning more about, you know, how they protect their historic properties and how maybe we kind of deface some of the defacing that happened in order to accentuate the history, if it can be done. You know, so there's progress there. But the point is that what we have not been able to sell to this town is the value of everything you just shared right there. Okay, the economic, you know, value, the value long-term for property owners, not just in the business district, but residential that surround it. Like, we haven't been able to sell a package to the people of this town to get them to, in a way that they understand that this kind of investment, this kind of opportunity, if we let it go by, this town's done.
Yeah,
This
so
town's done.
do you have work plans? Like, how do you present your work to your partners?
We are so at such an infantile stage at this point, because we have essentially we blew up the entire program, and we are starting from zero.
So we've worked, all right, and this is, I mean, I've only been here 5 years, people have been here 7 years, 10 years, 20 years. You know, the idea of doing Main Street right has just not materialized. I'm not gonna say there hasn't been people who wanted to make it happen, okay? Because actually they recruited me, okay? And I think they really did want that to happen. I think there are people that still want to see it happen. But the politics always seem to have gotten in the way of doing it the right way.
Yeah, politics is something, if you don't have it on your side, you just need to ignore it. We did that for 3 years, and we grew, we still grew. We started with an operational budget that was $150,000 in 2018. By the time the new leadership came in, we were already probably in the 350, and last year with that property thingy, we were over $700,000 in operational budget.
So that's kind of where we're at now. Just do it yourself.
Okay, I got one comment and one more question, and then I hope some other folks will speak up or ask whatever's on their mind. I really like the slogan, "Get psyched."
It's great.
That
So I
cannot be
think you're
work for
telling
us. You
us-
cannot have it.
But that's the brand kind of thing that we're missing.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're telling us to get tawny.
Yes, that's the hope.
Okay, all
But
right.
I think for where you are right now, just having a town hall that's going to be a brainstorm of your mission statement.
We did that. We did do that. We do
Okay.
have a mission statement.
Okay, so then you do another, like you can do your vision statement or your core value, but something that's going to help you take the temperature on the community,
Yeah.
bring people in that have no idea of what you guys are doing. And if you have a relationship with property owner and some people that would do free food or donate some drinks and do it as a mixer, and you do small giveaways. Taneytown temporary tattoos. Something fun. Something just like brings the community to the table. You need them no matter what. Municipality will follow if you get the community on your side. They have no choice, they're the voters.
That kind of brings up something I was thinking I wanted to ask you is, like, is there a neighborhood association or resident association, and how did you guys work with them? I mean, I don't think that we have a necessarily a neighborhood association here, but we do have, like, for example, the Taneytown Pride, I was a part of organizing that, but that's not associated with Main Street, it's not associated with the city, it was just private citizens coming together. And that more than quadrupled from the last year's Pride event. So like that seems like a really valuable resource, but did you guys utilize any kind of like neighborhood association, or how did that work? Did you guys?
No, so I'm hearing you already have a Jedi committee, by the way. So
It's getting out of our silos.
Yeah.
And that's one
Yes,
of the biggest
exactly.
things, getting out of those silos so that we are looking to groups that have formed and are doing things that the Main Street group, whatever it becomes, does not have to do it all.
no,
But we need to do it with partners, and it needs to be done collectively for the betterment. So it doesn't just make downtown better, it makes the whole city better.
for your volunteer task force, they need to do what they like. They're giving you your most precious resources, their time. So if what you want to do is Pride, she should never be asked to do anything else than that, and empowered to continue lifting that event.
Right.
But as you see, not functioning in silo. We do not have homeowner association. We only have 2 HOAs in the new residential area, the 2 most recent one. And what we try to do to connect with those people right away. The bags that you saw in my presentation, we stuff them with a visitor guide, some postcards and things like that, and we deliver them to the HOAs as part of one of our economic development. And we do coupon books in those bags. So immediately someone moves in, they have their little bag with coupon books and stuff, and you see them downtown the week after that. For the rest of it, we try to create initiative, again, open the door and move out of the way.
I think
What
that's kind
do
of what I
you
was
want
thinking
to
too,
do?
is like I'm thinking about communication, and I feel like a lot of it is just getting people kind of connected.
Yeah.
How did you find, because like I heard you mention like town halls, you know, as a place to brainstorm. How do you get people to those town halls?
So
Like
we-
there's people out there who want to help, but maybe they don't know how.
Yeah, that's why I
Well,
said
that's
food
what
and drinks.
this-
I was not
This is what this
joking.
tonight, this is
And-
like that kind of event, yeah.
I was not joking because it just accomplished so many things. First, you will be able to support the business, because if you work with that business, either they will donate the food and you put their logo on that event and you do a few booths, or you do posters, or you do whatever. And second, you create, people are very demanding with what they get when they go somewhere, like the all-inclusive type of thing. So no one is going to be, like you guys, patient enough to listen to me for 2 hours late at night like that. Someone who is new and doesn't know what they're going to go for, you attract them with a sense of community, good company, a little bit of food and drinks. And sometimes those people, they don't engage right away, but they know you exist. And and you do that 3 times a year, once in the park, so you can have kids, you bring your moon bonds into that, just like building that sense of community, letting people find their own space among your group. So he was reading.
Let's let him go first.
Well, you got close to mentioning it there, so maybe you can expand on it, but Taneytown does have, what I think is a very good parks director, puts together a lot of good events this year, many events.
So that's your green committee. You have Jedi, you have Jedi committee, you have a green committee, you have a few board members, you have a merchant association, you have it all almost already.
Yeah, gotta pull it together. So
Yeah.
I was wondering if there's any way that, as we do have the parks that seem very established with their events, and then also sports are, like private sports, the kids leagues and everything are huge in this town. is there any way, like that's already built, is there anything that you guys do in Sykesville that taps in to cross the lines with maybe your Parks Department or whoever organizes
question.
those events?
That's a great question. Do you have synergy? Does Main Street have synergy with programs?
Yeah, we have to because we're very small. So Park and Recs and the DEC work closely together to first make sure we don't step on each other's toe, but also to share resources. Because when the park is having an event, that means we won't have police force downtown for another large event.
Right.
And we just try to work in a way that we complement each other, and in terms of the quality of the offerings, the dates that we choose to do things.
Okay.
I was thinking that does seem important because we do have so many Parks and Recs events, but we
Yeah.
also have private, citizens doing events, and we also, it sounds like the Main Street, organization would also be doing events, and a
You
lot
don't
of
want to
those
be
are-
double booked.
They
Yeah.
and they might be covering the
Right.
same types of themes, so it's
Right.
like, who even takes responsibility for those? Does it become like
And,
headed by the parks or headed by the organization or?
And that's your MOA that tells you who is responsible for what.
It could,
You know.
it could, and I know that for us, the reason why we're called the Downtown Sykesville, we were the Sykesville Main Street Association when we started from scratch in 2016. And we were toying with the name and just seeing what I was saying, like I wanted the name to have connection in it because like I know we have all of the ingredients, we do. We just need to get better organized, having a few people that will be the point of contact or that will, offer also, sometimes you don't know what to do, but you surely know what not to do. And that's important too, so you have that governance aspect of things. And it's just a question of bridging people together. Having a little bit of cash to, to have some tangible good at the end of the year to show for is a good thing. But that's like, you seem to have, I heard so many good things in the number of people that you mentioned are involved. Those people, what about a membership for certain, over a certain number of property, you would say, you give us $250 a year, you give us $1,000 a year, and if you invest now, we'll do some kind of a crowdfunding things to get things off the floor.
So we have talked about, and this is not related to actually the work that we're trying to do on the nonprofit side, but some people that are in the same investment group, we have thought about forming just a straight up investment group to buy properties, just buy them and do the things.
I feel
Yeah,
like that's something we would do.
That's not the
down
nonprofit
yeah.
thing, that's
Yeah.
the development thing, okay?
Yeah.
But we settled on, so I'll just speak for myself, I'm highly critical of our local government, okay?
I heard.
Sam?
I guess that part.
But let me just say this, because there are some of those members that are here tonight, and, deep down, it's not a personal thing, and I do know these people, because this is a small community, and I know that at the heart of why they're even involved in government, they want this place to be a great town.
Yeah.
I just don't think collectively our city government knows how to do that, okay? And not to be even more critical, I'm just saying, there are people that know how to do that, and we've been ignored. Programming, basic textbook, Maryland Main Street has been ignored, okay? I don't make that a reflection of these individuals. It's a reflection of how our town is just operating, okay? But that's starting to change because we have new players in government now. We have new influences in our government now. And while it's still not ideal, it is at least starting to consider the demographics of how much the town has changed. Okay, so that critical mass of just population growth is pushing in that direction. Okay, so I just want to say that. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm sure that all of you have the same goal.
But as an
It's just-
investor, I can't wait 5 more years.
No.
We
But
have to make things move.
what I'm hearing also from the infancy of the project and how if you don't have a package to sell, they won't listen to you. This relationship is too new, is too fragile at this time to be validated by ideas or concepts. I think it doesn't have to be too elaborate, having a work plan that will include utility of the park, putting banners of sponsor. You can just be the conduit for that. You find someone to print those banners for free. You ask those businesses to give you $500 for each and every banner. You print the banner for $25. You have 2 volunteers going to put them in the sports arena, and you have created a source of revenue, and you have connected with 3 entities already: the property owner, the public, and the sports group. Anyway, small things like that, but they need to be organized. They need to be quantitative measures. And in 6 months, what we're going to have to do doesn't have to be crazy. We are going to have to gain 5 volunteers. We're going to have to create a little mission statement for all of our committees, for our Jedi committee, for our Park and Rec, for our Green committee, for all of that. Just showing that something is boiling, but it's something that's getting organized, that has a framework, that has a structure. Because I think that's when you're having this hard conversation with town government, which is a world that is heavily documented and very slow and hyper-administrative. If you just show up with the idea, you have lost half of the battle. Those people want to see a concrete plan, data, measure, and it's not extremely complicated. The Maryland Main Street program is now providing an impact sheet that can be half of your cover sheet. And then you say, by, again, gaining volunteer, achieving small projects, growing your team, making sure those committees exist because they're part of the requirement for the accreditation as well. And just creating a good process to recruit board members. Because you need to have a board too, and bylaws. Bylaws is not that hard to do. There are good templates on the Maryland nonprofit website, and you can find help to do. And I'm sure that with the community foundation, you can do that in your sleep. So you have all the ingredients. I feel like you're super close. A little bit of organization.
Okay, all right.
He raised his hand, and that's the first time he's.
Oh, no, go.
Just a couple thoughts, I guess. Having been on the group that eventually became the first Main Street board here in Taneytown 25 years ago, something I think our program, and it's been a roller coaster. We've had highs and lows, and this last time, we hit a low and kind of ran off the tracks. But I think one of our biggest challenges has always been getting the community at large to buy into the Main Street and the downtown. And when we look at it only as a numbers game, and Mark made a very good point, and living across the street, I can tell you my assessed value from the house that sat vacant for however many years before we bought it has over doubled in the assessed value, which, okay, great, when it's time for me to go, that's great. In the meantime, I'm paying, twice as much tax, but it is what it is. But, again, that's that rising tide, right? And, lost my train of thought there. But, I think, for the handful of us that are all trying to achieve the same thing, even though we may not always agree on how to get there, I think it's always been hard to get the larger community interested, and just to kind of bring it back for maybe an actionable thing.
Yeah.
I know that the current mayor and some of the council, at least, and some of my bosses are here tonight, but they lean very heavily on what people are messaging them about on social media, and our mayor is very attuned to people. He wants, he is very accessible, and he has really pushed for people to contact him directly for whatever, and that's great for him to be out there and talking with everybody. But what he tells me sometimes is, people aren't telling me that they care about Main Street, you know, so how do I support that when, you know, people that I'm hearing from don't seem interested? So we need to generate that buzz so it goes back to our elected officials so that it now becomes a priority for them. And not
Absolutely.
just about, well, why would I pay a full-time person?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say, was like, you need a package to
So,
sell.
right, so how do we get the greater community, you know?
So what are you, like, I'm hearing you don't really have social media and you don't have a web page. Having a decent survey is something you can also sell the town, because they're elected official. They want to run again, maybe. They want to make sure that they hit all the marks to be re-elected. Being able to tell them, we're conducting a survey for you, we're going to figure out what people want, when they want it, and how they want it, and we'll deliver that to you.
So we have right now, the city's in the midst of going through the survey for the comprehensive plan for the towns that got basically destroyed over the last one. And I will just say that the survey was pretty in-depth. It was good. It was a good survey. Whoever they contracted to do it, they did a good job. 80% of the people that responded to that survey indicated that they wanted to see more, we'll just say, they didn't specifically say revitalization of downtown, but 80% alluded to the fact that they wanted to see something happening down here.
It's
They
a
wanted
higher
to see
quality of
growth.
life.
Yeah,
And, you know, so
one of the things
they
that.
do want,
Yeah, that's
they,
such a big
they
thing.
may not be calling the mayor, but they 80% responded and said, this is important. Okay?
Right,
So-
and the other thing that has never really been accomplished through the 25 years of previously being part of the program, it was, you know, getting grant money to put up some awnings here and have some festivals there and do this and that, but it was never about the creation of a sense of place
Community.
and a sense of community.
aspect.
And that's what we want to do here, and that I think is what the people want, but they don't know how to express that.
Yes.
And if the mayor is chasing along behind a few loudmouths on social media, instead of actually paying attention to what the people said they wanted, you know, it makes life a little more difficult.
So maybe what you guys do as the Main Street is say, this is what this community is about, and then do these small events like she's talking about, and then get buy-in from the people because they're, you know, because I think what I'm hearing her say is, you gotta lay out what your plan is.
Yeah.
Our
Oh, I
plan is
agree.
to go ahead and do it despite the city government.
But-
I
but
don't-
what is
But no,
it?
no, what I'm
What
saying
is
is,
it?
what you gotta say, this is, here's our mission.
We're doing
This is
the-
our mission, and your mission can't be, we're gonna do this in
We
spite
have
of
a
the city
mission
government,
statement.
you know,
We
so,
have that.
but does the community know what that
Not
is?
So,
yet,
and
because
that's
we're
a
still
good-
building it.
but
We
that's
are
a
at
good
the
point.
very infant point of this, because we came out of a program that was so decimated and so poorly run that we've had to heal ourselves as members of that former committee before we could even go public with what we want to do, because we were slapped down over and over again. And the amount of corruption that went on in the program, the way it was previously run under the former economic development director, is so bad, that we have had to really come back from that. And now to go public with that is a scary thing to do for some of us.
Okay.
So we are still healing from what went on in the past 4 years. And how poorly things were managed and run and operated.
And the reason why it hurts so much is that it's not just the time, but you're also talking about, you know, most of the people that were involved in that are the stakeholders that are spending a lot of money that we haven't made anything. We put a lot of investment in, and we haven't got anything out of it.
Main
Now-
Street is extremely emotional. It is, and it's why it works.
Right.
It's a connection between people and places and purpose. So I'm hearing how upset you are, and that's going to fuel good thing at some point. Letting go of the past is going to be a big step of that, but continuing acknowledging that it's okay to have that strong emotion about it.
So
It's a
Jim
good thing.
did bring up a really good point, and it is a very big bridge. Is 25 years ago, when he was on one of the original committees, even till now, all right, being able to sell the value of a revitalization and an investment in Main Street to the general population, and now it's a lot bigger, okay? How do you do that? I would just say this, part of the reason why it's been so hard, all right, because I believe, just looking around, because I'm not from here, okay? I've lived in very diverse neighborhoods, okay, in Maryland, all right? And we have all of that here, okay? And we have an event venue, a small event venue in the carriage house across the street, and we do private parties. And we get a lot of the folks that are living in the, we'll just call it the suburbs, so to speak, in the developments, the Meats Crossing and wherever, okay? And these are the people that make up our now bedroom community. They're making good money working for a defense contract or commuting somewhere and coming home here. And they drive through downtown, okay? And we ask them all the time, hey, man, what do you want to see happen down here? And what we get more than not is, man, it'd just be great to have a place that's open after 5, right? It'd be great to have a place to get a beer, get a meal, right? And most of us in this room already know that, okay? But we haven't been able to facilitate that communication tool that says, hey, we are working towards that, towards just that. And part of that comes because we have this division between the relationship between the producers, the investors, and the business owners, and the government. All right? We're not on the same page from a communication standpoint, and the people see that. Like, it's not the city's fault, it's not anybody's fault. Like, the city council meetings in the past have been very visceral, okay? And when people see that, they naturally just
For sure,
out.
no one wants to be
They
part of
tune
the
out.
problem. Yeah.
So, like, I guess really the question is, and then I'll go back to the volatile time where you guys weren't being supported. How do you meld that together for a cohesive message? Because everybody's pushing in the same direction. Jim was 100% right. I don't believe there's anybody in that city hall that doesn't want Taneytown to be better. But it's how we're going to get there is where we differ. All right, but it doesn't matter what road you're on. We all have to be talking the same thing.
Yeah, and
We all
probably
have to be saying the same thing.
putting yourself in those people's shoes, and that's what I was trying to do when I told you write a small plan. It's like I'm trying to think like
We're dumping a lot on you right now.
Yeah, no, but that's fine. It's good to have those like therapy session. I had those myself too when I went through this motion in my olden time. It's putting yourself in the shoes of that mayor or mayor and town council or whatever who in that group is your problem child, and be like, if I was that person, what would I want to see? And I almost positive what they want to see is a formulated plan. It does not have to be big, but it does need to have quality measure and things. And saying we want to do revitalization is not clear enough. You cannot explain to someone you meet on the sidewalk and tell them what we want to do is revitalization. It doesn't talk to people, probably to you, because you have been looking at that problem for a while. You have been thinking about it for a while. But the people that you need to make your partner, your doers, they won't resonate with that. So small goals, small things, but all written down in a proposal you can give to someone. And they're like, please read that. I'm coming back next week. We can discuss it.
Right.
You can try that again.
Yeah. Block parties. We need to have block parties.
And do you like, where is Nancy, my comic?
So she's probably, asleep. She's in bed right now. You know, she's
Would she come back
aging.
with you guys and help?
We have Bob, we have
Yeah,
that.
we
No,
got
but
Bob.
like
We got Bob.
I don't mean to take Bob's place. I mean to help with bringing also all of the things of the past. Sometimes it's good, but I don't know.
I don't know
Yes,
that
Julie, and I'm working very closely with Nancy right
Okay.
now to be totally
It would have to
honest
be a
with you.
good
I
thing.
meet with her on a regular
Yeah,
basis.
because it's so good to pick the brain
She's so
of.
close
Yeah.
right now, but she's falling in ill health, and I don't wanna really talk about
Okay.
her personal,
Right.
issues and stuff, but yes, I talk to her on a regular basis, and yes, she gives me great insight, and, I just continue to push forward.
Good, but I think like, benefiting from partner that have been, she has been there for a while, so she probably has a bunch of things to share. But your business is also, I'm sure. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna ask maybe the final question, and maybe an important one. So in my travels, I do know that members of our community, stakeholder organizations, businesses, residents, inside town limits and on the outside, and even some of the neighboring smaller towns that feed into the city, we're kind of the hub. We're kind of a hub for a larger community. People are passionate about the revitalization and the success of our downtown. It is important to them, even though they've got their busy lives, they're going in 20 different directions, they get alienated by what has happened sometimes at City Hall and meetings and things like that. However, all that is set aside, I want to ask you a question from your heart. Okay, so you've traveled this path, and this is a chance to lighten up and warm it up a little bit in here.
I drink
So
a lot.
over the last,
That's how I get.
so over the last 5 years, you have walked the streets and got to know your downtown Main Street. You have a passion. What is it inside of you that drives you to be successful and do what you do and even be here tonight? What is it inside of you that you can share with us that maybe we can copycat that passion? Can you put that into words?
Yeah,
It might not be possible.
Like a lot of people ask me, like, what's your favorite thing about the job and your least favorite thing about the job? And the answer is the same for both people. And my pride in my years in my job is to have made partners of people that saw me as an enemy or
Amen.
an adversary at first. And those are now some of my most active partners. And in places of challenge, that's when you get the hard and good work done. It's why you're close, you have that passion, you have all of that emotion, and you're sharing a goal with government and other partners. You just need to finally try to speak each other's language, no pun intended, and just try to have a set of goals to achieve together, or despite of one another, to prove something, to prove that there is value in all of that. So, people.
I think that's a very strong statement or feeling that we need to absorb and keep that as a primary goal in our mindsets, because it can have so many positive ramifications for our community and any community across the nation, basically.
Yes.
So I really appreciate you sharing that with us, because it turns into curb appeal, ambiance, theme, energy. It turns into all the positive things that human beings are capable of. So
Absolutely.
thank you for that.
Oh my
And
gosh.
that's what created the human contact and the human approach that you talked about
Yeah.
this evening, and I thank you. I know how valuable time is.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for coming.
My pleasure.